Hello and welcome, everybody. That last set was phenomenal, and we are headed on into Division 7 finals for CCA this season. I am Rose of Battle. Joined with me is Sasu. How you doing?
I'm doing great now that I'm on the mic with you. I know I say it often, but it's simply true. It just to be the Pinklings on the mic, it just feels so right, you know. And that was a really close set, but just because we're moving on to Div 7, I'm hoping it's going to be just as intense and just as intense as we saw just a few minutes ago.
Yes, and we are headed into both teams on FSU Goldies and ReefRush here going into this Division 7 finals have played a very, very good season. So I think this is going to be a close set.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, they're both practically undefeated as it looks like for their groups and their playoffs. It's no wonder that they're both kind of making it here to the finals, seeing as though no one could take them down. But someone's gonna have to eat a slice of defeat this time around. They went the whole time. They're not used to losing, but there's only one winner and there's only one loser. So definitely psyched to see which of these teams, FSU Goldies from Florida State University or University of Houston, are going to take it. But we're going straight into splat zones on Mahi Mahi.
Heading on in now. I see an arrow spray.
Oh,
Interesting. You know what? I actually do like the kit on that arrow spray. Fizzies and Reef Slider go brr.
especially on a place like this, you would know how strong
The Reef Slider's so good here.
Yes, with all that open space. And I feel like that's why sometimes you think it's troll, but I think it being the silver variant makes it seem a little more serious. But in the meantime, we've just had a complete undoing there of University of Houston just taking the zone. And the Hydra has this flow aura, so they may be taking the zone back pretty soon, but pretty good opening there.
Oh, there's that slider taking two there. FSU still hasn't capped the zone. Now is a great time to do so with that wipeout in hand. I can already see there's Clover on an amazing weapon for guarding those ledges. Gast saying hello. I'm holding right here on the snipe until I slip off a little bit. Gonna hold this right side now with Clover. I would love to see Clover pop up with that Zucker right there. Didn't get a pick off of it. They're gonna lose control of the zone for a moment. That Booyah's gonna come out. Lead swapping, which means we have gone below 60. The water level is dropping. And look at all that space for FSU to paint for free.
Yes, and that's going to be really harmful for not. I was going to say reef runners, but a little ReefRush instead there, University of Houston. And of note is that neither of these teams are running a pen. You see that quite often, but Clover just going to clean everything up on that right side. We see an absolute barrage of orange. Everyone is booking it to the zone, but it's just not going to be fast enough. That is the first game for FSU Goldies.
Really strong right there. It was a little rocky at first going back and forth. We had people going down on both sides, but once they had solid control of mid and were able to move forward off of that, oh boy, that was strong. It just kept going.
Yeah, it felt as though just ReefRush didn't have a great way to get in. That's before you see on the replay when they did have that space. And it's just their heavy edit here. And several times we actually saw a bit of a face-off between Gast on this Hydra and the opposing Splatling. But, you know, Hydra versus heavy edit, it's just a case of range. And most of the time they are going to win out.
Yeah, that slider really, really opened things. Getting that double was really helpful for Goldies. And from there, you saw they held on to it. They got the lead. And they just kept holding the lead. Clover made sure, I'm going to go take that top right side. Aaron was trying to get in alone, but just couldn't make it happen. I got to shout out Gassed on that Hydra, just making sure. You can tell they've been charging up behind cover, and then once they're ready, they can get out of cover to start letting it rip.
And honestly, there's just a phenomenal show of teamwork here. Clover kind of working in conjunction with their Hydra, I think was super pertinent for that right side. I think that they recognized ReefRush that this Hydra has all of the range. None of us can kind of 1v1 this guy. We're going to have to 2v1. But having Clover there and saying, oh, you thought the Hydra was was just alone? Absolutely not. I'm here waiting for you to make that move. And that's what ultimately just kind of let them keep the zone for that long.
Yeah, I mean, Carbon's a great map for that. And as much as I'm like, oh my god, Reef Slider on Mahi's so fun. That Carbon being able to guard those ledges, plus, like, teehee, I can backline as a treat momentarily with Azuka.
Yes, we, though, are going to leave that behind and instead move into tower control Mako Mart. I was going to look for that change because no shot that they run Aerospray with this stage and mode, and that is correct. Funny instead has switched over to the Luna Blaster, so we will be looking for the Fizzies likely onto the stacks to clear them, as well as the Ultra Stamp, probably to ruin anyone who dares stand on that tower at the wrong time.
Do they know Funny's right behind them? Well, they know now. Funny also sees Aaron, knows Aaron on those dually sculptures has so much range, and Luna already had a good spot, is going to go down now, being found alone finally. A pretty strong opening from Goldies, but now momentum is shift over to ReefRush. They have so much turf painted down right there, and they can set up to start pushing this forward. I think we just have Chie just being like, hello, I'm gonna wait for you all to step forward. I can lead you here. Is gonna start striking forward here, but checking where those enemies are. Able to get a pick off of that strike. I was not expecting that. And this, I was gonna say it looks like a dead push, but I would be wrong if I were to say that, because they are still moving forward. Ace with the heavy edit. Moving on in, we have gotten all the way down halfway through for ReefRush. And
yeah,
there might still be more to come?
Maybe. I think Aaron is doing a really good job of keeping this space. And you commented on all of the blue that they have. There is not a single person on FSU Goldies who is on a good painting weapon. So if they need paint, if they need space to stand, there's just nothing like that. Gast has to back up because they have nowhere to stand. But remember, I mentioned that Ultra Stamp before. There it rears its ugly head, and they get a wipeout after tossing it and cleaning up the remaining two members, really stopping an almost knockout. Look at that. They got down to 2.
That stamp throw from the Luna absolutely, for now, saved the game. It's still, FSU Goldies has to get down all the way, essentially a knockout. At the very least, they have to bring it all the way down to 1. But you know what? At least they bought themselves some time. They have almost half of the rest of the timer to go. But right now, the momentum, you can see it's still so much in the favor of ReefRush here. Dudinator has been on a tear on a weapon that I would say is not great at fighting on stacks, essentially, from down below, but has just been drawing so much attention and opening paths for the rest of the team.
Yes, and I think their team is taking advantage of that. Ace saying, I don't want that smoke, getting off of the tower and trying to get the cooler at least for their team if they're planning on going down. But it's also crazy to see them trying to essentially finish off the job. They're not even working on stalling, on being defensive. They're trying to get that knockout. So Agent doing kind of what I do and trying to attack someone who has a splashdown, except unlike me, surviving for a little bit, but ultimately this is going to be a knockout for ReefRush. You see their blue absolutely everywhere. And credit to FSU Goldie for being able to stop this push, but they're in the same position. And they're going to have to shut this down again if they want to make their last stop worth anything. And they do it. They get a wipeout while they're at it.
Clover able to save the day that time because you saw that tower's moving fast. There are no more checkpoints left to clear for them, so they can just move it on in. Clover able to get 2 off of that Zuka, absolutely wrecking ReefRush right there. I cannot believe it. And they are still going with that combo of the bomb plus the flick of that roller. Now it is up to Gas having to leave the tower. I know they want to clear that checkpoint, but good on them saying, you know what, it's better to just live this for now. We're going to try to get some stuff here, but unfortunately the rest of the team just cleared out of left off of that, and at that point, we're just going to have people go rush in. And as you see, we also have had a DC, which is going to make things interesting considering the team that is heavily in the lead is the one who had the DC.
I was just thinking that. Clearly the fact that ReefRush was in the position to essentially knock out more than once means that they were kind of running away with this. We finally have passed the first checkpoint with just 13 seconds left. So luckily for them, the person that went down is not the one with the GG special. So those are going to come out, but all of their teammates are down. So they aren't able to necessarily dive the tower while that special comes out. Dudinator getting a critical pick there. And they take the tower despite being shorthanded. So it kind of spelled disaster for them that they had a DC, but even so, ReefRush, they strike back and tie it up 1-1.
Oh my gosh, I thought Goldies might actually get that once Chie on the slosher was striking with nobody else able to run to the tower and died off of that. But no, they held strong. Dudinator was able to take that down from earlier in the game when they had their huge initial run, only a minute and a half into it, clearing every single checkpoint here. Like, I remember you mentioning, like, they just had so little paint here on the side of Goldies. Dudinator, even though, like, can't necessarily easily get a pick from down there, is able to threaten with Chie's slosher, and then funny, saving the day and giving a breath of fresh air for the Goldies to have a chance. So you're saying there's a chance we can keep it going, and they did keep fighting that all the way to the end.
Yeah, they really did, tooth and nail. Like I said, twice in a row, they had to stop that that knockout from happening. They were looking down, and sometimes you just have to survive. It gives you more time to figure out what to do, what to formulate, and I've seen plenty of teams just kind of come back after denying the team the win, but not going to happen this time, even against a short-handed team. So I feel like that shows how strong ReefRush is, that they're still able to, they didn't even necessarily win off of the GG strikes, which is what I thought would happen, that they would throw that and then jump on, but really strong play. But now that these teams are tied up, next we're moving to Rainmaker Museum del Alfonsino, and this gives one of the teams the opportunity to kind of pull ahead in this set.
I do wonder if you're the Hydra on the team, just saying, okay, if we just make sure nobody can come rush me, and I have so much free reign over a fairly large map, especially on an offense, if you're like, set me up on that middle spinner as we're trying to push it forward. But I think really important when you're trying to clear that first check is making sure you are not rushing it. If you have not cleared the space in front of that check, it is so easy for somebody to be sharking around their spinner when they're watching somebody run at their check and just being like, yes, run it to me. You have no idea I'm here.
And you know what? I've always wondered, maybe this is like a bit of ignorance. Sometimes I'm playing Hydra actually in open with Rainmaker. And I know that I always wondered, since Hydra is heavy, if you pick up the Rainmaker, do you swim faster or do you swim like you're holding a hydra? I'm always worried I'm going to be slow, so I don't pick it up, even though the back line is the one that picks it up. But I will be assuming that Gast is going to take the responsibility. And you see here, Rose, we have a return of the arrow spray and a shot here. So we're going to be seeing even more Zuka play.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by the arrow spray pick going back to that, but I guess, it can paint. If they're saying, hey, we were really struggling, even though Luna's really strong in that previous map, but like we felt like we really didn't have enough paint. Like it will paint, and if you set up people with the reef slider, and they look at that and not Clover, but Clover's gonna have to double back here because Dudinator is gonna get that first dunk. And I don't know how they lived through all of that.
Honestly, the fact that even Ace was the first person to initially get it there and almost got the dunk by themselves is interesting as well. But I am seeing a little bit of what we saw in that first game where members of University of Houston are just kind of staggering a little bit sometimes, not playing together, but that got them the first checkpoints while they've been denying FSU Goldies their checkpoint, so perhaps it's working out for them, especially because Ace is a little bit more mobile. They have the cooler, they throw it out knowing that they're going to go down so that their teammates have the chance of picking that up, and meanwhile, a trade gonna happen. Just the carbon is up, but that's enough to deter everyone from trying to dunk it. So kind of back to the drawing board there, I think, for FSU Goldies, but we'll see if they can end up pushing this.
Yeah, Gas gonna have to dodge. I think that third Zuka also. 3 Zukas back to back trying to find them. They were able to dodge them all. That's 2 members down. Gas is trying to get that jump over, just barely able to get it. Will they get the dunk? They do. They're gonna go down afterwards, but they did still dunk it. Nuck did a slider. They were the only one left. They're on a tear. They're gonna pop that. I know they want to grab that, get lead. I hope that they don't over commit to it, because getting the lead here is still, that's not enough necessarily to get the win here. Nuck tried to get another slider kill, but what? Nuck saying, I know you all make fun of arrow spray, and I'm here to show you that you can do wonders with it.
Yeah, it's always really fun where you see someone in what's considered a kind of a bottom tier weapon just getting everybody together, and right now it's just Gast who is up, but more than capable of just keeping that space. You see that Aaron's gonna try to rush them, and even worse, gonna splash down and allow, I think, what might be a lead switch here. It is going to be a lead switch at this last second. I think Clover, of course, going to get 2 people down in one go, and that pop is going to just take care of someone who's trying to get in there. But Dudinator holding that space for their team, hoping to keep this push going.
Things are not looking good for FSU Goldies right now. Dudinator, however, going to go down here. I think there was a lot of their aggression. Clover able to get a pick and grab the Rainmaker. They need to cover a lot of the turf in their own color. Getting a Rainmaker kill's gonna help with that. They can start moving in. However, of course, with Clover the one holding that, they are missing a really key part of their aggression here. But the slider coming in with the cleanup. We have the escort on the Shark motorcycle. Nuck, unfortunately, gonna go down. Doesn't have the range to take that, but it's going back and forth. I wouldn't say that it is over for FSU Goldies right now. It is so close. You can easily get beyond the 45 remaining.
It's so funny. I feel like I was a little bit concerned seeing one of the front lines in the carbon holding the Rainmaker, but it feels like actually their arrow spray, if anything, is one of their front lines. And you see that they grab that lead back, run it down to 28. Pretty sizable considering everything. I think Aaron recognizing that they are up against several people and they're probably not going to get that pop off rip, and going back, and Clover trying to make sure that they do get that pop by getting those picks manually. Ultimately, it ends in a trade, but they were able to get 3 people down total. So Aaron fighting by themselves, going to get the most critical pick, I think, at the end here, but they run it down to 1, and that is a terrible number. Nuck just reef-sliding people in their own spawn. That is absolutely brutal. Curious to see if, look at all that orange. You wouldn't think this team had a carbon on their team.
Oh my gosh, they really did have so much paint that time. Nuck laying down so much paint. Hydra, of course, able to paint from far away, not necessarily like the biggest painter of all, but able to do some help. I think with Nuck's Aerospray pick, actually really helpful. Those reef sliders opened up a lot of things, and then Clover able to clean up off of it was really, really good. We saw what we thought was going to be the winning dunk got denied there at the end. Definitely the most key pick. Nuck doesn't have slider ready, gets it now, pops it as soon as they get it ready, is able to get the pick there, and then with the Rainmaker pop, able to get that pick on Dudinator, and just Rowlet not able to quite hit enough shots onto the Rainmaker in time to get that. Oh my gosh.
That was brutal. I cannot imagine I spawned in and immediately straight through my initial armor, I just blow up to an Aerospray's reef slider. That is truly something, and it's funny because when you look back at that Mako Mart game, ReefRush were pretty effectively just painting out FSU Goldies. It was a huge issue where their Hydra had nowhere to stand, no one had anywhere to stand. So now that they've subbed out that Luna Blaster, as well as the Luna Blaster was doing, and obviously it also saved the game for them, clearly having Nuck on this Aerospray has been a boon for them. But we're going to be heading to Clam Blitz Umami Ruins. And I have to imagine we stick with that Aerospray, not just because of the success, but surely it's going to be super helpful for those pushes getting through that choke point in order to get to the basket.
Yeah, I will be really, really interested to see what the weapon picks end up being on this map. Certainly, AoE can be really, really nice here for fighting. Having played a fair amount of Clams Umami today earlier in low ink, man, you got to really make sure you don't overcommit on those pushes. It is not a large map. And if everybody goes down in a push, you are potentially setting yourselves up for a really bad situation for a counter push.
Yeah, I think these teams are going to have to play careful. This should be easy enough when you have a Hydra. A Hydra's going to be relatively really far back, but I think as a heavy edit and as a midline, you're going to be a little bit closer to the action. So I feel like having this bubble, maybe that will help them a little bit in terms of keeping their space and making sure that they don't all just kind of fall down like dominoes. They also have those triple ink strikes. They can walk with those as well. But ultimately, it's about discipline and timing. So we'll see if any of these teams are able to deal with that. But Dudinator sidestepping, using that pillow to not go down to one of those legendary reef sliders. And I think that it seems like ReefRush is in a really solid place to push. Look at that clam economy.
As a slider user, that pillow is my op on this map. I absolutely hate it being there and blocking sliders so often. And even though they haven't made a push yet, ReefRush able to really just hold this down, hold the space, make sure... Never mind, we're going down to Gast, and momentum is shifting now. No points scored just yet. On such a small map, momentum can change so quickly. Nuck is going to be the one making a power clam after one clam being thrown to them. They are down the carbon, though. They do have a few specials online, including that slider. I'm sure they would love to be able to use that slider to secure pushing that basket, but you can tell they're just trying to find this last one. Chie's running back, gonna have to try to hold that area. Nuck clearing some space with the slider, but going down to the bomb. The Booyah just being a desperate attempt of keep me alive. And no, power clam not able to go in. Two of them not able to go in. It is all opening up to ReefRush now.
speaking of momentum turning at the sort of flip of a coin, that's exactly what happens. They got, and then another wipeout. Clover securing that and trying to get the clam economy on their side. They have the basket, but they need the clams to open it. And Clover, of course, going to go down. I think 3 members just sort of descend upon them, and they were there alone. So not much damage necessarily going to be done to anyone in mid yet, at least. But Chie, I think through bombs, is going to secure several picks and activate Flow Aura. So once again, neither of these teams, mind you, we are just about halfway through the game, have managed to score. Both have gotten incredibly close, but it feels as though as soon as they get there, they're either there with no clams, or they've got all the clams and they just get undone before they get to that basket. So we'll see if maybe it might be time for ReefRush, University of Houston, to get this done, but already you have Aaron retreating.
Yeah, I think retreating was the right move there. That Hydra, Gast had that locked down. I think it's going to be really, really key to make sure that they move Gast away from that position on the silo there, able to hold that spot so well. They are still up here. Aaron, of course, on that dualies, holding a power clam means everybody knows where you are. They, of course, know Aaron is approaching, able to get the push in anyway with the clam. Does use Splashdown to just survive a little bit longer. That is going to be a one and done push though, but you know what? It is some points on the board and they didn't all go down in that push.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, it's actually pretty genius to just sort of rush that alone when you have your splashdown. I think if everybody is aware that you have it, they feel a little bit cautious to approach you and take you down, and that's exactly what happened. Aaron practically just kind of walked up to it, and there were people there, but they didn't want that smoke. But they are finally able to make it to the basket again and get in some subsequent power clams as well. So that brings them down to a 50. I feel like the last one was just the start of it, but that ends the push. That's going to give them yet another pity clam. So if FSU Goldies is able to pick that up and make it to the opposing basket, it's not going to take that many subsequent clams to catch up. And now that we're in the final minute, pressure's a little bit on with how they're going to make that happen, especially because just did one of the most committal specials, unfortunately, into enemy hands.
Yeah, that was a tough slider there. Had to go down, unfortunately. Aaron still managing to stay alive until now, but able to take one member of ReefRush down with them. Clover just trying to make sure they have this space here, able to dodge and weave away from Dudinator's sword slash there on the decap. They need to take a lot of space to be able to get in. They do need to get a lot of clams as well. They have that petty on hand to pick up. They're going to make sure that Dudinator can't get in thanks to that Booyah. But you can tell, like, they want to use those specials forward, but they have to use them to clear the space. And so many people are down. Ace, I don't think, can score that power clam. Doesn't need to, just needs to wait out the clock.
Yes, and of course, I think Goldies going to throw everything they have at them. The splashdown comes out to kind of punctuate the end of that game. And honestly, that was a riveting game of Clam Blitz. The way that a team just had a devastating push within their hands. They had multiple power clams, extra clams to boot, and they had everything. But the one thing they did not have was the basket. And we saw it time and time again up until ReefRush. University of Houston was able to finally break through more than once to get a score on the board.
Yeah, you know, it wasn't for lack of trying. FSU Gold, you can tell, both teams were very, very aggressive. They were trying to do their best to make sure that they are securing picks and trying to secure positions. Some of the sliders opened up some space, and some of the sliders set you up for dying. I know that all too well, having felt that so many times today. And it's just like every time they tried to score on the basket, they got stopped.
And that's especially got to hurt because I mentioned right off the top, that reef slider is going to be super useful for getting into that basket, but that seemed to be, quite frankly, both of the teams' issues for most of the game. But FSU Goldies, who weren't able to score at all on the basket, I think we saw them try to implement that, but the timing was just off. The team was really far behind them, something to that extent. So very unfortunate for them, but we're heading back to splat zones, which worked really well in their favor. So maybe the reef slider will find a little bit more luck here.
It could. Fighting some areas with that slider is so aggressive on Barnacle. We've still got our same comp over here on FSU Goldie. I'm gonna be interested to see Chie swapping over to the Frozen Pro, having the Tenta missiles here. But there's a very early DC, so we get to run it back again.
Yes, and interestingly enough, it's gonna be on the opposite side that we saw the DC last time. Maybe, you know, something's just in the air yesterday. I think during Global Gauntlet, we also saw a critical DC as well from PXG. So maybe it's disconnect season, unfortunately.
There are some storms rolling through, and of course, college internet not the most reliable.
It's funny, I was just talking about this today. As much as people are like, oh, it's college internet, I will say my college had really great internet. As a matter of fact, when I was coming back home, I dreaded it because I was like, I'm going to start DCing. Because I almost never DC'd when I was on my college Wi-Fi. That stuff was great. Shout out PSU for having that great internet to the point where whenever it was out, whenever I was having problems, I was shook. I was like, what do you mean? I can't.
You know, I almost went to PSU. I was somewhere else and they had bad internet.
Well, there are a lot of PSUs now that I think about it. I was like,
that's true. Like actually, may not have gone to that PSU.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Potsdam University. There's a lot of them. So I'm like, now that I think about it, but we are back in it. Hopefully. Also, we say college Wi-Fi, but I'm assuming most of these players are probably on the same college Wi-Fi. No.
I mean, I would think so. You'd have to go to the same school.
It affected only one person, unfortunately. But we are back in it. Both of these teams are going for here in Barnacle and Dime. And as we know, this place can be really lockout heavy. So they're really going to have to watch how they play in these the first part of this game.
Yeah, but it is an early advantageous situation for FSU Goldie. Nuck going to start fizzying that top area. I like that, but gotta make sure we don't share these missiles with each other. Don't run into them. I like that they didn't bring a ton of missiles onto the zone. Very, very important. Nuck already sees Aaron trying to tease that right street. Aaron gonna have to reposition though, knowing like they found me. I can't stay here. And they're running in. They're going to start using resources here. Gast has a resource of their own. That splash zone, not enough to cap the zone. It is still neutralized.
No
but
way.
What do you see here again? Is that the same person? I can't remember.
I don't know, but I guess perhaps they don't get a And I think Clover
he gets only one free replay.
Yeah, so unfortunately, they're going to have to play that out. Very unfortunate for them, seeing as though they are playing so dominantly there. I don't. Which player was it? Was it a bucket player?
I can't remember, but man, that feels bad if you're FSU Goldie. It's. I'm not gonna say it's impossible to win the 3v4, but it is tough. They're going to have to make sure they work together very, very well. They don't have a ton of time to cap that zone. They're going down one by one. Clover going to try to detonator, gets the pick, but they're fighting so many people alone and they pull it off. They pull it off, but no, they can't paint that all on their own. Imagine if they somehow could have. What an amazing play, though.
How unfortunate. Doing all that work, getting that triple, and not being able to get the last person down, and your teammates not able to capitalize that off of that either. that really could have turned everything around. So all I can say is this whole game was just very unfortunate. FSU Goldies really had that but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh, but like, wow. Clover's plays here. Clover nearly made a miracle happen here.
Yes.
And that is amazing on their own. Just winning
A
3 fights. Just going bam, bam, bam. It was really just like after that, they took so much damage that just a couple shots from Ace is going to be enough to take them down. And at that point, of course, nobody able to get to the zone in time to paint it. But whoa.
Yeah, aside from the fact that the whole stage is huge, even worse, one of the players you still have up is a Hydra, who none of the run speed in the world, trust me, I've tried, can make you run at a reasonable pace. So you have your teammate that is going to be quite slow, and just your second teammate who went down after that one. So they're spawning back even later. But definitely a shout out to Clover for
Put on a show.
Being in a 1v4 situation and just taking 3 of those guys out with no paint, mind you, on card.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't see that every day. And it's gonna be Tower, Inkblot, Art Academy next. I'm wondering if they're gonna stick with the arrow spray. Last time they switched over to Luna, but clearly that kind of caused issues with them, for them in terms of paint. So, yeah, just a little bit curious about whether they're like the Reef Slider just doesn't hit the same on a tower map. You know, it's less likely that you're going to catch people holding hands. Also, Inkblot Art Academy has just a lot of stacks and a lot of things in the way where I feel like Reef Slider doesn't necessarily get as much done as you can with like a splashdown. So moving into this, they do go back to that Luna Blaster, and we'll see if it works out for them this time.
Yeah, Nuck was swapped out for Funny, and I do believe it was Nuck the one who is DCing. So maybe a good idea to swap Nuck out for now to figure out like, okay, what is going on with the Wi-Fi situation here. 2 going down though for FSU Goldie here. Clover doing the best to hold things down. Does know that there's somebody over there pushing forward. I think they might get that pick on gas, but no, the rest of the team able to follow up here. Hopefully they can make something happen, trying to make sure this push doesn't get away from them. But ReefRush able to move that forward, clear the first checkpoint. Not moving forward too far just yet. I don't know. Chie's in a really good position, though. I think Gas just lost track of them, didn't know where they went. Clover cleaning up there. Dudinator is the one alive until Aaron jumps in, is gonna splash down, able to get one pick here, is still holding the area, just going, yeah, I'm just gonna keep teasing this. I'm gonna live for now, and then I'm gonna go dive back in because that's what a dually does.
Listen, you said they get a pick here, and I'm like, that was more than just a pick. They picked off the 3v1 Slayer in Clover. That is going to be huge to sort of take that piece off of the board. And you see Clover here in this 2v1 does get one of those people down and ultimately goes down to the splashdown. But I think that stall is going to be huge for them, that they can kind of reject them from moving forward. So the tri-strike's going to come out, everybody getting out of dodge, and Gast, more importantly, has this Booyah Bomb ready. So of note, FSU Goldies, they haven't had the opportunity to really even get on the tower yet. The Booyah comes out to displace more people. Maybe this will be the time for them to push, but they have to kind of figure out what it is they have to do so they're not constantly in damage control.
Yeah, I think they got to make sure, like, Chie's going to want to set up in a good position here, going to strike the tower from relative safety. Does get awarded that pick onto Agent there, and also Gas is going to get taken out. Clover all alone, that is a wipeout onto FSU Goldie. things are rough. I have to wonder if maybe they're a little bit rattled from 2 DCs back to back in that previous game on Barnacle Zones and just struggling. Okay, we gotta just shake that off, and we gotta adapt now with Funny on the team on this Luna. We're doing our best with having not a lot of paint.
Honestly, that is a good call out, because I know when I DC, especially more than once, like we saw, because it triggered a replay, sometimes I'm thinking, guys, can we get through this game ASAP? Because if we're here for too long, I might DC again.
It could happen again!
I start just rushing, but you see Dudinator punishing Agent for kind of peeking their head out here. And of note is that, I mean, obviously they lost their last turn. Even in that 3v4, FSU Goldies still was not able to take the win in tower control. So I think this may also just not be their mode, or they have that Luna Blaster for tower and it just never works out for them, because there's a lot of blue that we're seeing. This is kind of the same story that we saw in that last tower game. And despite the fact that Gas is able to shut them down, no amount of shutting down in the world is going to get you enough points, right, to win the game. So something's got to change, and it's got to change soon.
Oh, the point blank Zuka. Gotta miss the target here. Does still get a pick, however, numbers advantage are in ReefRush's favor, even more so now. That is going to be a delayed wipe onto FSU Goldies. A lot of the map opening up again. Getting a pick on Dudinator is going to be really, really helpful for FSU, though. Clover, you can tell, is setting up to make some more miracles happen. Is going to try to set up here yet again. Gets the rest of the team getting the pick on Aaron. They see Dudinator. I want to make sure, Clover, like, don't get pulled out here. You don't have the range against that decaf. You got to make sure you take them by surprise here. But that's going to be tough because 2 members are down on FSU Goldie, and Ace is already prepping for everybody to move to the tower left. They don't have to go for a full committal push. They can just keep the tower in mid, or, you know, past ahead and left, just keeping it away from their side. They're playing ultra patient and careful here.
Yes, and I think that's the way to go. You don't want the other team just kind of taking the tower and going on a tear. So finally, the best defense is a good offense. They get on the tower. I think they also have a bubble ready, but none of the members are even going to come close to that tower. So University of Houston, ReefRush, they're going to widen their lead here by getting to, I think that is essentially set point here.
Yes.
4-2.
They only need to get one more in the basket to be crowned the Division 7 champions. They're feeling, I imagine, pretty good. That was a really strong tower control performance. I'm sure their morale is quite high. Aaron, on this tear earlier, able to splash down, didn't get a pick off of that, but was able to use it to stay alive and then just pull attention, be like, hey, multiple people are watching me in bats, which means, like, Funny is the only one on FSU Goldie contesting the tower at this point.
And you have those 3 people, I think Dudinator ultimately getting the pick, but certainly when overtime is about to be triggered, you cannot afford to have all of your members worried about dapples in your bats.
Man, those dualies.
Yeah, so I think that ultimately, like you said, they don't necessarily, not dapples, sorry, the end parries.
End parries, yeah.
The splash down there. So W distraction we see, and FSU Goldies have to be sweating, not feeling so good, because they know maybe there are some games that they could have picked up if they did not DC, and maybe they're feeling a little bit rattled, but now that the opposing team is at set point, especially because according to the team, it was a college Wi-Fi issue. Even more unfortunate that it affected just one member. It would be one thing if we had a low ink incident and everybody just like poofed out.
I was like, what do you do?
Yeah, because at that point, I feel like we got to replay. No way you just you just call it there. You can't gentleman that, but interestingly enough, or I guess not all that interesting, but we are going to make it to Rainmaker Manta Maria. This is a classic map for Splatlings. Really strong Splatling map, so the fact that we have two as the backlines, excited to see some of these plays.
Yeah, and for buckets as well, I'm sure this is going to be, Chie's playground on the slosher here, able to really contest things like the bunker and just lots of little stacks and areas, can really have a lot of fun. And however, gonna be the first to go down here. See, Nuck is back again. Hopefully, Wi-Fi situation handled. Hopefully, is going to go down here, though. But, that's a lot of members down on ReefRush. This is a great opportunity for FSU Goldie to move it on in. They are going to make sure that the rest of the team is in. I think, maybe you look at that, you're like, why are you not taking that and running immediately? Made sure the rest of the team was back first. But, however, Rowlet able to take one down. It is just 2-2 at this point. Gast being our backline, the only person alive on FSU Goldie until now who didn't have the Rainmaker. We have one of our frontliners holding that right now. They're getting forced to back up towards their own checkpoint here, but able to get 2 picks with that, but they're gonna explode, I think, before they can even dunk that. At that point, you just want to make sure, hey, I don't want to explode onto my teammates, but Dudinator takes them out beforehand and gets a 6 onto another one. Going down there, honestly, after getting 2 picks there, I think that's not so bad.
Yes, but they're gonna hope that they pick up again, because I think all that backing up may have made it so that they may be actually a little bit closer to their own checks. So Dudinator picks that up very easily, takes the lead, kind of, as I said, but in a drive-by, that Reef Fighter is just going to blow them up, but the rest of their teammates arrive and very handily dunk that where it needs to go. Clover on that top gets that pick, I believe, and I think Nuck with this Reef Fighter is going to allow their team to get this pop. So Dudinator is the last person up. They're holding the space for their team to come back in. And FSU Goldies, they have the Rainmaker ready to hopefully make a push, but no, it seems as though someone has gotten behind Gas, perhaps, and somehow downed the Rainmaker.
Clover on the Carbon is going to be the one to pick up the Rainmaker for this push at this point. Chie is trying to combat to make sure their own bunker does not get taken here. Clover managing to swim through all of that, but not able to live long enough to get the dunk, and the rest of the team gets wiped out on. Hopefully they're able to get back into position relatively quickly. Last thing they want is to completely lose control of space here. But oh my gosh, look at this run. Rowlet doing their best to stay alive, all the way down to 21 points here. A very big push here from the ReefRush. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to say a miracle needs to happen again, but they're going to have to be able to drop that Rainmaker through the enemy street and keep it going forward and get many more steps forward. They can do it. This is Manta Rainmaker.
Yeah, I think it's possible. Nuck not quite having the paint available to make that jump, but ultimately Agent winning this fight is going to be very helpful for their team. I think that jump was in a very dangerous spot, and right now, more so than popping, they're just hoping to keep the space. Oh. Dudinator absolutely slashing through one of the members of FSU Goldies, and I think getting yet another one. They were going for the backline, but they get checked for that, and we are just over a minute left. It's right there, so they might be able to jump it down. I think Gas is going to just booyah it to secure that dunk, but I think Chie just denying that. Terrible. That's so sad.
Yeah, Chie able to hold that space down so easily with the slosher, but I think use the strikes too early right now, because look, I think it's really up to Dudinator holding this space down, which they are gonna do, fortunately for University of Houston, able to stop this. But Nuck's making sure the rest of the team can jump in. Here's gonna reef slide, not gonna get the kill on that Rainmaker quickly enough, though. That is gonna reset back to mid. I'm hoping that FSU Goldie doesn't all go down here. Unfortunately, Clover did go down in that situation. We have almost 15 seconds left to go, and GA already sees Gast, is managing to stay alive. Everybody gonna really corner Gast here. Less than 10 seconds left to go. They need to hold this on for University of Houston. They put the strikes out, they grab it, and they win, making sure that they are the champions of Division 7.
Yes, at the end, there was just nobody up for FSU Goldies, and certainly not enough time to jump in either. I think Dudinator did a really particularly good job this time around of just keeping people down. It felt like even in a 1v4 situation, or just when they really needed to get the picks, Dudinator was just moving and making the moves necessary to corner that Rainmaker, make them unsafe unsafe to move forward. And you see, I think Dudinator up in that corner is going to force Gast there in the first place. And then at that point, it's just Clover, a jump in gets camped, and there's only so much that they can do with absolutely no paint. Miracle doesn't happen twice, unfortunately, but University of Houston just snatching that last game and keeping it the whole time.
They played this set strong. I felt it was really back and forth for a while here. They had some rocky moments and they had some really strong moments. Both teams did. But once they got momentum, they didn't let go of it.
Truly. And I think, I hate to say it, but it really kind of started with that DC. Like, everything was kind of tit for tat, back and forth. And when that happened, they were able to just kind of get the knockout, as you do when you're up against 3 people. One of them is a Hydra. They can't move so fast. And, I think things became a little bit trepidatious for FSU Goldies. And that was just kind of it. But I think... I will wrap it up, give a congratulations to ReefRush, seeing as though things are a little bit behind schedule due to that Div 1, so I won't take too much of everybody else's time. Congratulations to both of these teams, but especially ReefRush. Before we sign off, Rose, go ahead and give me your plugs in case people want to keep up with you.
You can find me over on my own Twitch channel, over on Blue Sky, YouTube, other various social medias. I will be Rose of Battle on all of them. How about you, Sasu?
You can find me at Sasu in Your Pants, SASUIN, the letters UR, pants, probably pretty in pink along with Rose, wherever you see me, but a fantastic end to Div 7, some really great Splatoon, and thank you everyone for joining us. Stay tuned.
Don't go anywhere.
There's more CCA.
There's more CCA. Div 2 Finals is coming up here imminently. We're running off, but you all stay here. Thanks so much for watching Div 7. Stay tuned for more.